Puglia on the road. Ciao my friends, welcome back to the roads of Italy. You know how much I love taking you to discover my beautiful country, right? Well, buckle up. This time we are in southern Italy, Puglia, the very heel of the Italian boot.
Fantastic.
We are going far and wide through beautiful villages, exploring natural wonders that will leave you speechless. Dive headlong where dazzling white towns sparkle under the Mediterranean sun. And yes, we will be diving into crystal clear waters that will steal your breath away. Sun-kissed beaches, pure paradise. And then, of course, a taste of the local life and food. Stunning scenery, rich history. Well, you've clicked on the right video. Come on, make yourselves comfortable, grab a virtual gelato and let's hit the road together.
Traffic.
Okay, well, it was a bit of an adventure getting here, but finally we have arrived in Polignano a Mare, the first stop on our Puglia road trip.
A coffee to recover and then we go explore Polignano.
This place is seriously something else. The old town literally sits on these dramatic cliffs overlooking the Adriatic Sea. You wander through this maze of narrow streets, now buzzing with a cool touristy vibe, and suddenly you're hit with these incredible viewpoints and lively little squares. Awesome! And speaking of views, check this out. The famous panoramic terraces of Polignano. You can just stand here and watch the waves constantly crashing against the rock below that enclose Lama Monachile, the main beach of Polignano. Not only is the view of the old town houses amazing from there, but get this, it's the only Italian stop for the Red Bull cliff diving. These insane athletes launch themselves from 20-30 meters high platforms. Pretty wild to see. Now, from adrenaline junkies flying off private balconies to a true legend of Italian music, the most famous Italian song in the world. Of course, we are talking about the one and only Domenico Modugno. He was born right here in Polignano and they have even dedicated a statue to him. But people here aren't just about the views and the music. They seriously know their food. So, pro tip, you absolutely have to grab a fish sandwich at Pescaria. That is a real institution in Polignano. Trust me, your taste buds will thank you. Sandwich that we eat in our camper in front of the Incine beach. Amazing sandwich, amazing place, and so let's enjoy a refreshing swim at the sunset before heading back to town for the evening. The streets of Polignano are packed with people and the festivities go on late. Polignano which, if possible, becomes even more beautiful in the evening. These are the celebrations for the feast of San Vito, the patron saint of the town. Waking up in our camper on the shore with a view of a sea like this, well, it's priceless. On the road again, heading towards Monopoli. Its old town unfolds within the ancient Spanish fortifications, built during Spanish rule to protect the entrance to the old port. And inside the old port, Monopoli reveals itself as a truly beautiful and well-kept city. Among the alleyways bustling with tourists, glimpses of ancient times appear here and there, with locals in the shady streets of the historic center still passionately dedicated to ancient crafts and the production of the typical Apulian products, among which, of course, is the amazing extra virgin olive oil. Cooking pasta from our camper near the olive trees in the middle of nowhere is just great. Then eating the pasta under the olive trees is even better. Yeah, but if we had seen right away that there were snakes among the olive trees, we definitely wouldn't have sat on the ground to eat. However, the area is very beautiful and we decide to follow a path immersed in centuries-old olive trees in an almost surreal piece. This one must be at least 2.5 meters in diameter. Certainly hundreds, if not thousands of years old. According to the Greeks, it was the goddess Athena who first planted an olive tree on Earth. In fact, the olive tree is considered the plant of the gods, and it's not coincidence that among the many excellent products of the Apulian territory is the divine extra virgin olive oil. Just back from the beach. Fantastic! Among other things, we really like this on-the-road life. With our camper right here near the beach, the camper is an excellent way to visit Puglia, especially this part of Puglia where we are now, Salento. Salento means beautiful beaches, but if I told you about all the beautiful beaches in Salento, it would take weeks. So here are our tips. Marina di Pescoluse, the Maldives of Salento. We are on the Ionian coast, a few kilometers from Santa Maria di Leuca. Punta Prosciutto, another beautiful beach north of Gallipoli.
Baia dei Turchi.
This stunning beach is located north of Otranto. You reach it by walking a short path through the vegetation. Porto Cesario, which I could define as the Caribbean of Salento, or perhaps it's better to say that the Caribbean is the Salento of Central America. Torre dell'Orso, with the beautiful panorama of the Two Sisters rocks, further on the Faraglioni of Sant'Andrea, and the water is amazing. It almost feels like being in the Caribbean. In fact, the Caribbean of Salento, the Maldives of Salento are expressions that often recur in this part of Puglia. The Cave of Poetry is a karstic cave whose vault has collapsed, forming a stunning natural pool. Beautiful. The name derives from the Greek poesia, which indicated a place where it was possible to find fresh water. But of course we prefer the legend according to which, given the beauty of the waters in the natural pool, it attracted many people who wanted to swim there, including a beautiful princess who, in turn, attracted various men who, enchanted by her beauty, especially poets, praised for her splendor, dedicating verses to her. Greek, Latin, and even Messapic inscriptions have been found on the walls of the cave. The Messapi were a tribe that occupied the area of present-day Salento centuries before the arrival of the Romans. So this is not a beach resort, but an archaeological site, and therefore the town hall has decided to limit access to the area by building a dry stone wall and parapets that restrict the zone to preserve the site.
Maybe they are looking for someone. Not us. I hope.
And if you come to Puglia, and you will come to Puglia, well, you must have at least a dinner at a masseria. But what are masserie? Well, masserie are historic buildings dating back centuries, nestled in the countryside, which were intended for agricultural activity. Later abandoned from the 90s of the last century, many of these masserie have been transformed into agritourism, where you can taste typical local products. How are these spaghettoni?
Tasty.
But the scorpion fish ravioli, guys.
Mamma mia.
And after a good meal, we hang out among the lively streets of Gallipoli. Okay, we are ready to leave. Almost. Back on the roads of Puglia, we are about to go back up along the Italian hill. A must-see stop on a trip to Puglia is Alberobello, one of the icons of Puglia, thanks to its super famous trulli, which fill the beautiful uphill streets of the Rione Monti with tourists. These white circular plan buildings were built with local stones, but without cement, to bypass the 15th century law that required the payment of taxes for the construction of a built-up area. In this way, when the officer came to collect the payment, they just had to remove the keystone, and the houses would turn into piles of stones. And Ostuni, the quintessential white city. Not the only one, there are many others, but Ostuni is famous for its white color. Much has been said about the reasons for Ostuni's white color. Certainly, white lime was a very easy material to find. Furthermore, white lime, being composed of calcium, is highly basic, and bacteria hardly manage to proliferate in a very basic environment. For this reason, it is thought that lime was decisive in stemming the cholera epidemic of the 17th century. Last but not least, being in southern Italy, very hot in summer of course, they necessarily had to build very narrow streets with houses built close to each other to keep them in the shade to stay cool. Shady streets also means more darkness, and the white color of Ostuni allowed reflected light and better illumination of the streets. Ostuni, the well-known white village, but I would say Cisternino, the real white village. It's really white here. Another beautiful village on the hills above the Itria Valley, where, in my opinion, you can really breathe the typical relaxed atmosphere of the Apulian villages. Ostuni is very beautiful, but also very touristy. Cisternino is not so crowded, so here you can stroll calmly, enjoying the corners made of views, made of vases with colorful flowers hanging from the windows, made of small restaurants that, as you can see, are preparing for the evening. Now Cisternino is very quiet, but probably it won't be later. A very interesting thing are these swings that you see hanging here and there with interesting phrases written on them. Swings that have been displayed in the village since 2021, in short, after COVID, to symbolize life's ups and downs that, like swings, go up and down and remember the openings and lockdowns. A way to teach all of us to appreciate the beautiful moments of everyday life without thinking about the negative things or what will be. Enjoy the moment. And if the heat starts to be hard to handle, like today with 39 Celsius, take a break like us. Coffee cream and, of course, the pasticciotto, very typical, short crust pastry and custard. And eat with your hands. And from the Itria Valley we move to the Murgia, to Gravina in Puglia, dominated by the canyon carved by the stream. A perfect set for a movie or simply for a striking picture. Crossing the scenic aqueduct bridge, we enter the heart of Gravina, where we immediately notice many metal grills. To find out more, we decide to take a guided tour with the Gravina Sotterranea Association. Under the streets and squares of Gravina in Puglia there are kilometers of tunnels, caverns, quarries and caves. In the past, houses were built by extracting material from the subsoil and building the house on the surface, and grills visible from the street served to guarantee air circulation. Nowadays in Gravina there are about 2,500 of these dwellings built from 1100s to 1800s by excavating up to 20 meters deep. The spaces created underground were then used as cellars to produce and store wine, warehouses, refrigerators to preserve food, and later also used as rainwater cisterns. Even today, visiting the subterranean Gravina, you can find tools and equipment used in the past. Under the city of Gravina there is an underground Gravina, all to be discovered. Nowadays, restaurants, pubs and wellness spa have sprung up in these tunnels. Just in time, otherwise we would have gotten a good soaking. My friends, our beautiful journey in Puglia ends here. We saw a lot of beautiful things. From villages to beaches, delicious food, beautiful weather. We had a lot of fun, especially doing this trip with the RV, on the road life. Now we go back home because, maybe you can hear it, we are trying to escape an upcoming storm. But don't you escape. Stay there. You know, subscribe my channel, put a nice thumb up and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos. Guys, see you at the next adventure.